Alrighty, so hello everyone. Welcome back to the Cozy Corner. I'm Sana, the Vice President of Welfare at Aston SU, your lovely host. And today I'm joined with a very, very special guest, one of my closest friends I met a few months ago. It's been a few months. Go on then, introduce yourself.
Hi guys. So my name is Amina. I am a psychology student at Aston, and I'm also a yoga teacher. And yeah, I'm honoured to be part of this lovely podcast. I'm so excited to talk to Sana, even though we talk like about pretty much everything. But yeah.
So you mentioned psychology. Tell us why psychology, Amina?
Yeah. So I'm really passionate about psychology and why people behave the way they do. I'm really passionate about growth mindset, holistic well-being. All this kind of stuff is really it's my passion, so that's why I study psychology.
Yeah.
Also, I'm really passionate again about mental health. I think it's so important for people to look after their mental well-being, and I've had experiences in the past where I have dealt with mental health professionals who have really supported me on my journey. And I just thought, like, if I can be that for somebody else and that support for somebody else, then that's a really beautiful thing. So
definitely, I think the reason why me and Amina clicked so much the first day we met, I remember I came to your house, and that was like the first day. Like, we never met before. We kind of talked on like WhatsApp, wherever. But it was because we both just sort of have the same goal and the same understanding of mental health and wanting to learn more, helping people. But I want to know a little bit about your journey, if you don't mind sharing it with us.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything you said as well, by the way. Like, we full on click because like it's just we're really passionate about helping people, and that's something that I think we can connect to. In terms of my journey, so a bit older than you, son. I don't think you even realise. I'm not going to share that on the podcast.
You're not gonna. Oh my god!
Yes. Anyway, but basically, I have a bit of a funny journey when it comes to careers. So what happened was I actually started studying in Manchester, dentistry. I was on a really good course, really happy, really enjoying my life. Alhamdulillah, like, everything was good. And then quite, due to some like personal experiences and things like that, I actually experienced quite severe depression. And then following that like depressive, I don't know what to call it, stage of my life, it kind of spiraled and got worse and worse. I was in my third year at the time studying dentistry, and then one day I think I can't really even remember what happened, but I think I just basically like left my house and just completely lost myself. I experienced first episode psychosis, which is a mental health condition where you can basically like lose sight of I guess it's different for every individual experience, but for me, I just completely forgot who I was, and yeah, that was a really difficult part of my journey, but I think it's an important part of my journey.
Did you get any help in terms of like your depression?
Yeah, so I had a lot of support, and I did do like therapies and things like that, which really helped. But I think my depression was very severe to the point that it must, and I'm not too sure what was the cause of the psychosis. It was undiagnosed. It wasn't diagnosed, but I did get support throughout the journey, and especially through like my hospitalization. So when I had first episode psychosis, I was actually hospitalised for 10 months, and in that journey of not recognising anyone, not recognising my family or my friends or anything, the doctors and nurses really were there for me, and they treated me like their own. And I can remember that small part of my journey. Like, I don't remember most of it. It's kind of, I think because of the ECTs and stuff, it's kind of wiped away. But But yeah, I did get the support.
Can you, just for the people who don't know, and to be honest, I never knew what psychosis was like. Psychosis was my pronunciation.
Yes.
What psychosis was until I heard one of your podcasts with my friend.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what psychosis is?
Yeah.
And how you would know that you have it or something?
Yeah. So I think I don't want to give like a medical kind of definition.
Oh, yeah,
I'm not.
A lot like a little disclaimer, guys. Both of us were not professionals.
Yeah.
So whatever Amina says, it's from her experience and it's like quite personal to her, so it wouldn't apply to everyone.
Exactly. Thank you. So from my experience of psychosis, it's basically a condition for me where I lost sight of my identity and my couldn't recognize my family, couldn't recognize my friends, couldn't really care for myself because I didn't know really anything. Like, it's like my memory had just basically gone. Also, like, I was going to say something then. I don't know what happened. I don't know where it's gone. Anyway, basically, like, difficulty in caring for yourself and remembering things. And that's what I was going to say. I was quite aggressive as well at the time, which is completely unlike, as you know, like, I'm the most least aggressive.
Very calm. You're the calmest people I know.
Yeah, so that's how I experienced psychosis.
Right. So how did it affect you, like, day to day with your life? And
so my life was basically put on hold for a year. Right. I couldn't do. So I was in the hospital. So so it affected me massively because I couldn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you pulled yourself out of that.
Yeah, so slowly began to get better, and I do believe a lot of it is down to like quite a spiritual person, so a lot of it is down to, like, I feel like spirituality, and also just really believing in myself, that like finding myself and finding my passions through this experience really helped to push me in my recovery journey. And now, like, I know what I want to do and I'm quite passionate, but I feel like I know that I wouldn't be where I am today if I hadn't experienced psychosis and everything that I have experienced.
So, like, are you grateful?
100%.
Even though it must have been such a hard, like, year.
Yeah, and sometimes I look back and I think, like, like, a year of my life has gone. Yeah. And more than a year, because it took me a few years to recover, so a lot of my life has gone. But you know what? I'm really grateful. I'm really grateful that I experienced psychosis, and I speak about it quite openly because it's not something I should be ashamed of.
Obviously.
And I'm very grateful that I experienced it, because I wouldn't be anywhere near as passionate as I am now about what I do if I hadn't experienced it.
I think one common thing about us, me and you again, is that, like, how I'm so open about talking about my depression, anxiety, OCD.
Yes.
And you're very open to talk about your depression and psychosis. Like, what inspired you to open up?
Yeah, I think what inspired me to open up is that I think not enough people speak about the difficult parts of their journey. Like, like, people will often, like, especially social media, we post, even I do, we post the best version of ourselves, the happy days. But I think it's an important part of my journey, the struggle, and the fact that, like, I went through what I went through. I think it's just as important as the good, because it shaped me. So I'm open about it because I feel like it's important. It's important to speak, and it's important for people to hear, like, especially someone that's maybe going through a similar thing. If they can hear that someone has come out of it, it can really motivate them and make them think, you know what, like, I can do it too. Like, I can get through this too. Like, she did it. Why can't I do it? Do you know what I mean?
The way when I got into my depression, I closed myself off because firstly I didn't understand why everything is happening with me, and I didn't even know what depression is. I didn't know what OCD is, and again, one thing that we have in common, when I studied psychology, that's when I figured out what's actually going on in my brain and, like, what's happening with me. And I shut myself off, I cut everyone off, and I was like, oh, why me? Like, why? I don't know how to cope with it, I don't know what to do. But then I started posting it on, like, social media, like, right, this is happening with my anxiety, this is happening with my depression, my OCD, and there's so many people related to it. Yeah. A part of me was like, I don't know if you experienced this too, but when you post something negative on social media and be like, okay, I'm having an anxiety attack or a panic attack or just not feeling well today, a part of you is like, people are gonna think I'm doing it for attention. Yeah, I was gonna say that. I thought that's what you were gonna say. Yeah. Do you experience that too? Yeah, I think you know what. Sometimes you do kind of think like, oh, what if people are gonna think this and people are gonna think that? Like, I'm doing it for attention or this or that. But you know what? I always think, like, if whatever I'm posting or whatever I'm doing in my life
if it's even going to help one person get through something difficult, it doesn't matter about the people that are thinking other things, because I've helped that one person, and that's my goal.
That's what matters.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Yeah, so with me, it was like I was getting so much positive like comments, and people, even my friends who I didn't even know are suffering from these things, just like it opened up conversations, and everyone was like, thank you for posting about this, thank you for teaching people, because at the end of the day we're all going through something.
Yeah.
So it's like if one person speaks up, everyone else relates to it.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that there is no one out there who's gonna judge you and be like, oh, she's doing for attention, but that shouldn't be a focus, because then sometimes when I post these things, I get a little bit like a bit anxious, like, oh, what people gonna think? For attention or whatever, or just, you know, just for the nice comments and for sympathy or something like that. But then I just tell myself, it's like, you know, it's okay to share these things.
And you know your intentions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, why can't we openly talk about like our physical health?
Yeah.
But when it comes out about like our mental health, and it's like, okay, I'm feeling sad today, and it's fine. Your emotions are valid, and it's okay to tell people that you're not okay. Like, that was a cliche, but
no, 100%.
Like it's important to talk about this.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now then?
So as I told you, like before, I was studying dentistry. So when I left dental school, it was quite hard for me to get back in because I left so randomly. So they said you're gonna have to reapply on UCAS and everything. It was a really hard time for me. I was like, I don't know what to do. And at the time, I met my husband as well. I met my husband at dental school, but he helped me to navigate what it is that I want to do, what is it that I'm passionate about. So we sat down and we thought, right, let's figure this out, let's figure out what I'm going to do with my life, kind of thing. And he asked me like, what do you want to do, like what are you passionate about, what do you want to do, as simple as it is, a simple question. And I told him, well, I just want to help people. And then he was like, well, how are you going to do that? And I said, well, I like talking to people. I like yoga. I told him all the things I like to do, and he goes, right, well, study psychology, be a yoga teacher. And he said it so casually, like as if like something so easy, and I was just like, okay then. So then I started studying psychology. I trained to be a yoga teacher. I started working for a mental health charity, Birmingham Mind, helping and supporting other people that are experiencing mental health difficulties. I even did some placements as an honorary assistant psychologist. And I just started to, now I'm in this journey of still trying to figure out what it is that I want to do. I know I want to develop my business, but it's all about mental health, well-being, holistic well-being, all that kind of stuff.
Holistic well-being?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a new word. Explain.
Yeah, so holistic well-being is something that again, I keep saying this, I'm really passionate about, because it's all about, for me, it means, like taking care of my body and my mind as a whole, like looking at the bigger picture and looking at, for example, things like morning routine, evening routine, like looking after my mind, looking after my body, looking after all aspects of my health, not just focusing on one thing, but having a holistic approach. And I think that is something that I am, really I like to talk about, and I like to implement into my life, because it makes my life more wholesome, and it makes my life, a nice life to live. Because I want to share that with people. I want to share with people how to have a good routine, how to practice yoga, how to do things that are going to help them. Because if I'm helping people, then it gives me a good feeling too.
Yeah, so how are you doing that at the moment?
Yeah, so I teach yoga. I'm going to start at the SU as well.
Yes, okay, girls only yoga.
Yes.
Every other Thursday. Obviously, I'm going to post it on my social media, whatever. But she's going to be the teacher, and now you know her. It's amazing. I'm so excited for it. It's going to start, when this episode is going to be posted, it's probably going to
have started.
But for now, right now, we're so excited. We're going to start when, next week?
I think it's a week after, if I believe rightly.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So yoga, I do teach it already, on my own, and I've done a few worked with people as well. But yeah, so yoga is one thing I teach, and I've completely forgotten the question that you asked. I don't even know what you
What
want.
are you doing now?
What am I
to
doing?
help
Yeah,
people?
to help people. So so yoga is a big thing that I'm doing to help people. I believe studying psychology, even though I'm not directly helping people now, it will help people hopefully in the future.
Because you get to learn how people think and
Yeah.
their emotions and everything.
Yeah, and it will help me in my like career progression. So yeah.
One thing I really like about like our journey is that we turned our like mental health situation into something positive.
Yes.
I'm doing what I'm doing right now, the Vice President of Welfare, is because I'm so passionate about mental health. But going down the whole route as to how it actually started, it was because of my depression.
Yeah.
And with you, with the yoga, the holistic well-being, everything, it all started because of that depression, because of that psychosis.
Yeah.
And it's like, we just became so passionate about it that now we're just like, we want to help people out and we want to make a bigger change.
Exactly.
And I just think that's just beautiful, because I feel like a lot of times when people get diagnosed, or not even get diagnosed, but like fall into depression, they think, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't get out of this now. And sometimes it does feel like a loop. Because obviously we've experienced depression. Obviously not everyone's depression is the same. But with my depression, with my anxiety, when it was very severe, I felt like I was in a loop. Like I can't get out of this. Even if I try, I keep on falling back. Everything is always gonna be negative, overthinking all the time. But turning this into something positive and being passionate about it, and then actually doing a whole career.
Yeah.
Like obviously, for me, it's not really a career. I'm just doing this for a year, guys. Vice
No,
president.
but I'm
If
sure
you want
you.
me, if you want me here for longer, to speak to the SU people, I'll be here for longer. But like for you, your whole career is now about like helping people, mental health, and something that you're really passionate about. And that's just beautiful, because you started from dentistry
Exactly.
to yoga
It's
and like
crazy.
psychology. So it's like, it's crazy, and I find that very interesting, and I just love that.
Yeah, it's like if I didn't experience what I'd experienced, I'd probably be a very miserable dentist. Because I'd just be like not doing what I'm really passionate about. So I do believe that there's a bigger plan. Things happen to people for a reason.
For a reason.
And it's difficult to see in the moment. Like in a moment where you're either depressed or you're really down or you're really anxious, it's difficult to see the bigger picture of like why this is happening. But I literally guarantee that people will look back and kind of see why things happened the way they did, why things planned out the way they did. I'm a really big believer of bigger picture and greater plan.
So as you said that you got some help with your depression. Was it like counseling and stuff?
Yeah.
Like a therapist? And what would you say to people who don't want to go to like a therapist, because obviously there's some like negative connotations related to like counseling, and people just don't want to go do it because they think that they go to some like brain doctor, mind doctor, like they think that they have to be crazy to like go to them. Like what would you say to these people?
I would just try to normalize it, because I feel like going to a therapist, it's not necessarily like if like you're sick or you're like really like I think everyone should go to a therapist, because it's just somebody on the outside, like away from your life, that is giving you a perspective on your life. And you can speak to your friends, which is amazing, and your family, and speak to as many people as you can. And also having a therapist will help, because they can see things from a different perspective. Your friends are always going to say things that you want to hear. And your family, maybe not so much, I don't know. But, a therapist will be there like to help you in a like non-judgmental and, objective kind of neutral kind of way. So,
and something that's actually beneficial as well. Because as you said, like friends are going to tell you what you want to listen. Family, we're both well, I'm Pakistani.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
And Indian, yeah, I bet.
Oh yeah, because I was gonna say I'm Indian.
I bet.
Yeah, so it's like obviously for us it's like when we go back home. I don't know about your family.
Yeah.
But if I went back home and said, well, now my parents are very open to it. But I know that a lot of Asian parents, they see parents. If you tell them, oh, I'm going to therapy or whatever, That ain't gonna happen in your Desi household. No, because they're gonna think that what happened to you? Just have more, just drink more water and you'll be fine. Right? Because it's true. This is what happens.
It's
and
true.
It's like it's very, very important to normalize it.
Definitely. I think it's important to talk about it because especially like you say within our kind of culture or whatever, like it is still like, I think we're moving forward, like we are moving in a positive direction. But there's still a long way to go in terms of mental health and speaking about it and being open about it. I don't know anyone who is from like kind of my culture that has openly spoken about psychosis, and I'm sure there are people that have experienced it, but like maybe are too afraid because of the judgment and like backlash and people saying things and all this stuff.
One last question, actually. What do you say it when it's like not last, second last?
Penultimate?
I
think
so.
I don't actually
English
know.
is not my first language.
No, I don't
know. Do you remember that day or that moment where you were like, okay, that's it, I want to get out of this, I want to do something positive? Or like that big push?
Yeah, you know what? I think I do, which is really weird because I've not thought about. Yeah, it's really strange because no one's asked me that before, and I've never thought about it.
Because obviously, I still remember when I fell into my depression, and that day when I was like, you know what, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. I need to get out of this. Like
no, 100%. I think for me, because after my depression, I soon experienced psychosis, and then it took me like a good few years to recover from that. So I don't think it was like a light bulb kind of moment where I it was kind of a long process. But I do remember like what we were talking about earlier, which is when I had that conversation with my husband, when we sat down and kind of figured out what it is that I want to do. I think that was a light bulb moment for me because it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that like there's options and I can do more than just reapply to dentistry. Like there's more to life, and I'm not a failure for not finishing dentistry. I think in the back of my mind I felt like that for quite a long time, but when I told myself, no, you're not a failure, like you can do big things. I think that was the moment for me.
I think that's why it's so important to talk about your mental health. Because because obviously you're feeling all this. And in your head, you're going to be like, oh, now I don't have any options anymore. Or I just need to reapply for dentistry and just live that boring life, whatever. But then when you share it with someone else, like for you, for example, your husband must have been a very big helping hand. When you share it with someone else, as a second person or third person, whatever it is, perspective, they're going to be like, actually, have you not thought about this and this and this and this? You have so many options. You're not closed off. You have so many options. 100%. It's just up to you to make that step.
100%.
But thank you for sharing this story. It was amazing, honestly. This is one of my favorite episodes already. And this is the second one that I'm recording. I loved it so much, and thank you so much for openly sharing about it. I'm just going to ask you a final question. Something that you would want to share with the whole world.
So something I'd want to share with the whole world, I think would be to never limit yourself. Don't think that you can't do, literally, you can do anything basically. You can literally do anything you set your mind to. It's all about your mindset. And, it doesn't matter what people are saying. It doesn't matter what your mind is telling you. If you want to do something and you have a passion to be somewhere and you work hard, you can literally do. You can do that. So set your limits high and don't have any limit. Don't limit yourself. That's what I tell people. Just achieve big things.
Because it's possible. 100%. So that was the end of the episode, and I'm so sad because I wanted to talk to you more. But if you want to know more about Amina and her story, oh my God, I almost lost my voice then. I've got more episodes to record.
Too excited.
Her Instagram is...
at I am Yogami.
Yes, it's going to be probably linked somewhere.
Okay.
So in the description box below. And my Instagram is Sana_AstonVPW, and the podcast Instagram is __Cozy Corner __. I know there's a lot of social media things just putting that out there, but just follow it if you want to. If you want to learn more about Amina, she's going to be in the SU, obviously the yoga teacher now. I'm still so excited. But I'll catch you guys later, and thank you, Amina, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, guys. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye.